Alright, going live. You're live! I should be live just about now. Let's find out. Yeah, apparently I'm live. So let me know in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me, you can hear the game. I'm about to. I have to mute my phone because YouTube lets me know that I'm live. Thanks YouTube for that useful email. So can you guys hear me? See me? Hi Wolfgang, how's it going? Alberto Martinez, ¿cómo andás? Bulls Shark. Thank you so much guys for joining me. I'm doing fine, thanks. How about you? I'm going to test now Watch Dogs 2. Sorry. Let's stop for a second. Hello everyone. I'm Santiago, and today I'm going to be testing Watch Dogs 2 on my 570, 1650 Super, maybe the 580, we'll see. The reason I'm testing this game out of nowhere is because it's free right now on the Epic Games Store. If you want to get it for $0, follow the link in the description. There's a link there for Watch Dogs 2 on the Epic Store. So if you click that link, you have to go through the checkout process with your Epic account. That will be added to your library. And once it's there, you should link your Ubisoft account and basically download and play the game. It should also just require a Uplay account after you redeem it. For some reason, the Epic Games Store games, once you link them with your Ubisoft account, you can just play them on Uplay and not use the Epic Games Store at all. So that's fantastic. Personally, I already own the game on Uplay, so I have some progress done, as you can see. But well, at the moment I'm using the RX 570 on 1080p. Let me show you the options menu. Let's be real here. We are here for the options and the free game. We're using the 570, 1080p, and very high settings. Let me see if... Okay, I'm going to enable temporal filtering, probably, because that makes the game run even better. So this is like the upscaling technique on Rainbow Six Siege that they used to have. So it uses a lower resolution, but there's a checkerboard rendering technique, so the game will run better. So yeah, basically very high settings with temporal filtering. That's the settings I'm using right now on the 570. And as you can see, at least in these places with tons of foliage, I'm getting basically over 60 frames per second. So yeah, I mean, performance nowadays seems to be better than before. Of course, it requires a powerful CPU. That's what is unfortunate about Ubisoft games lately. The CPU usage on this one is pretty significant. It's using the half of my Ryzen 5 3600. Let me reload the checkpoint. So yeah, if you have a quad-core CPU, expect drops below 60 frames. But as long as you lock it to 60, you get some drops when the police is here. I'll just go in the open world. I think that's a better option. But yeah, as long as you have a quad-core CPU, close to 60 should be doable, some stutter. If you have a 6-core CPU, well, much better. And if you have a 6-core 12-thread CPU, nothing to worry about. So let's try to do some mayhem to stress the game as much as possible. Sí, en unas 550 debería funcionar. Yo usaría 1080p medios, más o menos. Una mezcla entre medio y bajo, mejor dicho. Pero sí, debería funcionar. ¿Por qué está gratis otra vez? No recuerdo si estaba gratis antes. Yo recuerdo que estaba gratis el 1. El 2 no recuerdo cuándo estuvo gratis, pero... Lo está dando gratis, es lo importante. Someone was saying in Spanish that the game was already free. I don't remember exactly if it was already free. Whoa. But, I mean, if it was already free, it doesn't matter. It's still a free game. If you didn't catch it the first time, you can do it now. Which is a great thing, at least in my opinion. You get a game for free that is a lot of hours of entertainment. If you enjoyed third-person shooters, some stealth missions every once in a while, pretty dull car handling. Yeah, the driving is not that good. Honestly, I don't like the driving at all. So let me remember the controls. It's been a while since I played this game. I forgot basically everything about it. Okay, what's on Uplay? Okay, on Uplay was free. Gotcha. Okay, now it's free on the Epic Games Store, and it's a Uplay title, so you still need Uplay to play it. But yeah, it's a game I think is worth getting, worth downloading, considering the amount of hours and the gameplay. I usually enjoy the shooting on this one, but not the driving. The driving, at least in my opinion, is very poor. But yeah, the sensitivity is kinda effed up. But yeah, let's use the bigger guns. I'm playing it like it was a GTA title. I know this is not what it's supposed to happen, because you die very quickly. But as you can see, the GPU is maxed out, so probably high settings will make more sense if we run 60 frames all the time. But as you can see, it's running worse than the part I was playing before, in that open campus. So yeah, again guys, if you didn't know, follow the link in the description to get this game for free. I already have some progress into it. Okay, everything exploded. That's hilarious. But yeah, you can just follow the link in the description and enjoy this game for free. Vos lo compraste hace poco. F to people that bought it. Very close to this date. Let me change the settings a little bit. I think I can make the from memory the best settings. So let's take a look. Geometry, that usually hit the CPU, at least in my experience on this game. So let's put it on high since we have a decent CPU. If you have a quad core, try medium or low. So high, let's put medium. I'll consider that most people don't have this one. Then extra details, I don't think this is worth touching at all. It's for better draw distance. I don't really think it's worth it considering the performance impact and the extra stutter. On the terrain, I'll keep it on high. We have a good enough GPU to do that. Same on vegetation, texture resolution. Let me see the VRAM usage. Okay, you might be able to put it on very high, but we only have 4 gigs of VRAM, so high looks decent enough. Texture filtering, let's put it on the maximum. This is probably 16 times anisotropic. So yeah. ¿Qué onda? ¿Todo bien? Uruguay nomás. ¿Qué pasó con la 1660 Ti? Hace tiempo que la vendí. No estaba siendo muy popular. So, I continue talking. Texture filtering on ultra, it won't make a performance difference and you get better looking textures from an angle. Shadows, let's lower this to high. This should be enough for the 570 to handle it. There's also PCSS shadows, which are a huge performance hit, and the HFTS hybrid frustum trace shadows. Those are super demanding. I recommend not touching them. Just keep it on medium or high. So on this one, I'll keep it on high. Headlight shadows is the shadows from the headlights of your car. So you can choose to have it only on your car. So only your car casts shadows from the lights. 2 cars, 3 cars, or 4. I'll probably keep it on your car because you don't usually notice it that much, or 2 cars, so it's more noticeable. 2 cars should be fine for the 570. Water, I'll just keep it on high. Reflections, on high you have, okay, more reflections, so cars, buildings, all the good stuff. And on low you only have the sky reflections, so let's keep it on high. And then we got screen space reflections, which are the most modern ones that you can find. These screen space reflections are the same as usual. The things that are on the screen space will be reflected. If it's not shown in the screen, it won't be in the reflection. Personally, I prefer to keep this on medium or high. Those are usually a performance hit in most games. On this one, I don't remember exactly. Then this is dynamic particles, lips, and bullet heat effects. Let's keep this on. San Francisco fog, this is a big performance hit, especially when it shows up. So sometimes you can see some fog in the environment. Well, this will be like the volumetric fog in the Assassin's Creed games. So disable it. Depth of field, in this game it doesn't look particularly bad. So when you aim to something, that will be the only thing on focus. It can be pretty annoying sometimes, but in this game it's kinda subtle. Motion blur, that's something I like to turn off. Personally, it makes me sick. In this game it's a little too. It's subtle, but it's noticeable. Personally, I like to turn it off, especially with the temporal filtering. Then ambient occlusion, we have SSBC, like Rainbow Six Siege, HMSSAO, and HBAO+. So the best quality on this one is HBAO+, is the one manufactured by NVIDIA, to say it in some way, but it's the most demanding. So I would say use HMSSAO or SSBC. Both of those look fine. You get the ambient occlusion anyways. It's not that accurate in comparison to HBAO+, but I think it looks good enough considering what it's doing. Then on the post-process anti-aliasing, we got off SMAA and FXAA. Personally, I just keep SMAA, looks better than FXAA, and it's not a huge performance impact. The multi-sample anti-aliasing is one of the more demanding anti-aliasing solutions. It's not very common to see this nowadays. So if you enable temporal filtering, I usually recommend to turn this off, but if you enable temporal filtering, it's necessary to have it on 2 times. As you can see, if I turn it off, this is off, so disable this. It's a huge performance hit. And I recommend keeping temporal filtering on. It gives you a 20 to 25% performance uplift, but it uses a lower resolution. So it's using like a checkerboard technique to upscale to a higher resolution. So in this case, it's not 1080p, but it looks better than lowering to 900p. Personally, I'll show you the performance difference. It's now enabled. So let's go back to the game. As you can see now, with the tweaks I made, we're getting 80 frames per second. Fantastic. Let's now disable the temporal filtering thing, which is a lower resolution with upscaling. Once we disable that, we go from 80 to 60, so we lose 20 frames per second, but the game looks a little sharper. So personally, I think temporal filtering looks great considering the performance uplift. I think it's worth turning on. And with this extra performance, we can probably boost HBAO+, and yeah, the rest should be good enough. So we get better ambient occlusion, and we get a slightly lower resolution. So we got geometry on medium, the rest on high, basically high settings with some stuff lowered, and the HBAO+. So that's my description of the options menu. So let me put here what I'm using. I'm using 1080p on a mix between medium and high, mid, high, plus temporal filtering. And that will be in my opinion, the best configuration for the game. So if you want to see the configuration, you can rewind the live stream. So yeah, this is basically what you need for 50 to 80 frames per second. Let's try to break some havoc and see how it goes. ¿Lo van a regalar? Sí, lo están regalando otra vez. Pero tal, yo me alegro que están regalando juegos. Nadie tiene que pagar nada, es perfecto. Solo armás la PC y ya está. Somebody was saying in Spanish, hey, they're giving it away again. Well, yeah, and I'm very happy about it, because you don't need to buy any games. You can just, what's the name of this? You can just buy your PC and get the free games. If you don't have a PC, you can add these games to your library and play them later when you build your PC. So yeah, I think that's great. I love that about PC gaming now. They're giving away free games very often. So you don't even need to pay for games if you want to just have some fun. Very easy to get games. Newer games only do 720p 30 frames. Well, look at that difference. I mean, this game looks very good, at least in my opinion. And on a 570, you can get pretty decent numbers. Whoa. I wasn't expecting that. Alright. Got them all. Of course, I'm playing this game the way that it shouldn't be played, which is like if it was a GTA title. You die very quickly in this game if you don't get to cover. But as you can see, even with the police chasing me, the performance is pretty decent. We'll see once we get to a more explosive thing. Like that. But yeah, I think that the performance is pretty decent. Now that we have faster hardware. Oh yeah, let's try to explode that thing. Boom. But yeah, this is mostly good shooting. Well, good shooting. Decent shooting in third person. Plus some of the levels that have some puzzles on the hacking side. So yeah, I like this game. But I have to say that the driving is the weakest point about it. But hey, it's a free game. You don't have to pay anything, just your PC. Doesn't get much better than that. Oh man, grenade. Okay, as you can see, you die very quickly. But yeah, la RX 590 es mejor que la 1650 Super. En la mayoría de los juegos debería ser. Si el juego es muy pro Nvidia, debería ser muy parecida. O estar un poquito por encima. Yo tengo una 570 desde hace 3 años y jamás me ha defraudado. Bueno, perfecto. Una buena compra. Hi Santiago, what processor would you recommend with the 570? I'm on a budget. Nowadays, I would say at least a quad-core CPU, maybe a Ryzen 3 1200 or a 2200G. If you can afford a little bit more and you can find it in your country, consider a Ryzen 3 3300X or 3100. And if those are not available, consider a Ryzen 5 1600, a 2600. Those are very well priced right now. But if you're on the minimum side on your budget, consider a quad-core CPU. Something like that. Something like a Ryzen 3 2000 series or 1000 series. And that should last a decent amount of time. You won't get 60s on most of the newer games, on the most demanding ones. But you should be able to play just fine, and later down the road you can upgrade to a Ryzen 5 3600, 2600 and get a great experience, and even upgrade the GPU later. So that will be my advice. ¿Qué gráfico usas actualmente en tu PC personal? La 1650 Super y la 580, voy saltando entre ambas, depende de qué esté haciendo. Este juego está optimizado muy mal al estilo Ubisoft. Sí, pero ahora que tenemos hardware más polenta, no está tan mal. Por ahora la 570, si la conseguís a buen precio, me parece una excelente opción. No sé ahora cómo va a ser contra las consolas y eso, pero por el momento está bastante bien. Do you want me to say the intro? Okay, hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be doing a Watch Dogs test on the 570. Whoa, look at that. That frame rate drop. Well, now I can agree with people that said this game is optimized on the Ubisoft levels. Yeah, for some reason there we got a big drop into the 40s. Now it's stabilized. Maybe loading assets. How weird. Anyways. But yeah, as you can see, that can happen. Yeah, this spot it kills us. What a weird thing. Okay, if I see to this side. Yeah, not sure why if I stand here my performance gets tanked like 20 frames. Let's try that again. Okay, nothing. Okay, let's give it another try. This is fun. Finding what the testers should be finding. Okay, now it's stabilized. Weird stuff from Ubisoft games, I guess. But yeah, I mean, considering it's free, I'm not complaining. But it can still drop below 60 when I'm moving very fast through the map. Even with a 6-core CPU, I mean... A quad-core CPU should have more stutters in that case, but I don't understand how that works. It's not even maxing out the CPU. And the GPU usage can drop sometimes. Okay, places with foliage, it's okay on the GPU side. But yeah, mostly it seems to be a thing with how the game uses the CPU. Okay, this is a huge hit on the GPU, but we're still in the high 50s, low 60s. So, yeah. Let's fly. Yeah, it's fine. I would say these are the best settings. So that's what I wanted to show you. The best settings for Watch Dogs 2 on the 570. So let me show you which are my best settings. Is a 1050 Ti good nowadays for gaming? Yes, it is. I mean, good enough. Good enough. But I think you can get a 570 for almost the same price, so I don't see the market for the 1050 Ti. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about, in my opinion, these are the best settings for the 570. You get 1080p. Then on the custom settings, geometry on medium, especially if you have a quad-core CPU or slower. If you have something faster, consider high. Then extra details, keep this on 0. It's extra draw distance, yeah, whatever. I mean, the performance here is not worth it. Terrain on high is fine, vegetation on high as well. Texture resolution, keep it on high. Someone is invading me. Okay, let's get away from that. So yeah, I'm probably playing online. So yeah, my data is being stolen, I don't care. Here, quit online session. So sorry for the interruption. The game went out of the pause menu. So as I was saying, texture resolution on high for 4GB GPUs, very texture resolution, yeah, very ultra for more than 4GB, my opinion. Texture filtering on ultra doesn't make a huge difference. Shadows on high, headlight shadows on 2 cars or your car, especially on nighttime, that can be a performance impact. Then water on high, reflections on high, screen space reflections on high, dynamic particles enabled, depth of field on, because in this one it doesn't bother me that much. And then motion blur disabled because I don't like it. Bloom enabled. Ambient occlusion on HBAO plus because it's the best looking one, but honestly SSBC still looks good and you can get a few extra frames. Temporal filtering, this is an important one. It decreases your resolution, but it uses an upscaling technique to go to your native resolution. It's like a checkerboard rendering type of deal. You get a 20 frames per second uplift, so just enable it. In my opinion, it looks fine, and the performance difference is significant, so in my opinion, you should enable it. If you don't use it, make sure to turn off multi-sample anti-aliasing. This is very taxing. And on the post-process anti-aliasing, SMAA, I think it looks good enough considering the performance impact. So yeah, let me change the chat for a second. I forgot to put the slow mode. So there will be a message every 20 seconds or so because some people are spamming. I apologize, guys. I forgot to turn that on. Okay, there we go. So these are my best settings for Watch Dogs 2 on the 570. I'm going to play a few extra minutes so we can test it out. And then I'm going to swap for the other GPU. But yeah, as you can see, my car is in pretty good shape. Let's go on a motorcycle. I want some extra agility. What should I use along an i3 8100? I have a 16GB of RAM SSD already. Please tell me which GPU should I buy. I will go for a 580, 570, 1650 Super, 1660 Super, something around that range. It depends on how much money you can spend. If you can spend a lot of money, consider a 1660 Super, but personally I would wait because NVIDIA is probably going to announce the pricing of the 3060 or the 3050, so you can have at least the DLSS, or if you can find on the used market a cheap RTX 2060, maybe. That's not a bad choice. It should last a decent amount of time. Oh dear. So let's get the police chasing us again. I'm kind of addicted to that. Yeah, call the police, please.
911, what's your emergency?
MSI Afterburn are not working in this game. Oh, sorry, I forgot to enable it. There you go. Oh, guys, one very important thing about the MSI Afterburn in this game. If you want the numbers to show up, make sure to enable the stealth mode on Radeon. The stealth mode makes the game, the anti-cheat software, not block the MSI Afterburner program. So make sure to enable the stealth mode on Radeon to be able to see the frame rate and the CPU usage in real time. This game requires that due to the anti-cheat software. But yeah, let's explode them. Boom! Got him. Good timing. ¿Qué gráfica igualará el Play 5? Por ahora no se sabe nada. Una vez que aparezcan los juegos y las reviews, vamos a poder charlar. Okay, that wasn't very smart from my part. Alright, wrong button. Yeah, I'm going to lose. But as you can see, we're still over 60 just fine. Mostly the game likes to be CPU intensive, but it doesn't max out the CPU every time. Especially when you drive it very fast. In these combat situations, we're more GPU bound than anything else. Oh, hello, helicopter. Alright, grenade. Oh man, it's going to kill me. Okay, with some explosions we get closer to 60 still. Completely smooth, nothing to complain about, all the opposite. I hate killing dogs in games. Why do you... Okay, doggy, kill me please. Yeah, I cannot kill him. Come on, there we go. Good dog. Para streamear CSGO, sí, si usas NVENC debería darte. Limitas CSGO a 60 FPS. Did you also have an error with anti-cheat while launching the game? I didn't have any problems with anti-cheat in this one. So guys, I'm going to swap GPUs now. I'll show you how to get these frame rate numbers going, because this game with the anti-cheat software can be pretty annoying with that. As you can see, once you launch Radeon, make sure to keep application detection level on low or high, and the stealth mode, this option right here, super important, keep it on. This makes the anti-cheat software not knowing that you have this program running, which it won't ban you, nothing wrong will happen. I've been doing this for years. It's just to see your frame rate. So keep this on in order for the game to show the metrics. That's the thing I wanted to clarify for people that wanted to see how the game runs on their PCs. But now I'm going to swap GPUs, so give me 1 second. I'm going to swap to the 580, because why not? We have more VRAM. So yeah, give me 1 second guys. Going to turn off that PC and swap graphics cards. That will be fun. Yeah, I shot the dog. I'm so sorry, but I let the dog kill me, so I think I paid a life for a life. So 1 second guys, going to swap to the 580. Alright, 570 is out of the PC. Let's now put the 580. Hopefully everything goes as expected. You know how it goes when you swap GPUs, it's like a lottery at times. But most of the times it's okay. Alright. So the PC is now back. I'm waiting for it to start. It has to install the drivers and all that, so give it a few minutes. In the meantime, let's update the status. We're now using the 580, which I don't expect a huge performance difference, honestly. But yeah, let's keep it like this. Once we get into the PC, okay, we're back in. Perfect. Let's select here 4K. I hate the Windows scaling. Okay, my driver is already installed. So I installed every driver before before launching this live stream. Give me 1 second. I have to launch MSI Afterburner. This RX 580 is overclocked from stock settings. So from stock in this 580 we have 1411 megahertz. Usually most 580s are at 1366, so I'll keep it at 1366. So most people can use it as a reference. And let's launch the Watch Dogs 2 game. So we're back in. Will you be benchmarking with the RTX 30 series in the future? At the moment, there are no plans for me to get the 30 series cards. But if they release a 3050 or maybe the 3060, I'll think about it. I mean, I might be doing that. It all depends on pricing and availability, so we'll see. If there is a 3050 sub $200 card with DLSS, count me in. I'll be buying that as soon as I can. Okay, so Watch Dogs 2 is loading. 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's free on the Epic Games Store. Guys, if you want to get this game for free, follow the link in the description. I think it's in the description. Let's see. Let's find out. Yeah, it's in the description. You can find it there. Just follow the link down there. And it will be yours forever, basically. So yeah. Okay, it's free on the Epic Games Store. Welcome back. Do you wish to open a Ubisoft Club application? Yeah, why not? Alright, let's start like before on very high settings. Now let's try with Ultra. We have enough video memory for the maximum textures. The only thing I'm not going to enable is the PCSS shadows and motion blur, and San Francisco fog. It's not useful in my opinion. So yeah, I think everything's fine on this side. Okay. HBAO plus, no temporal filtering, and let's jump right back in. So this is at the moment RX 580 1080p max settings, almost maxed. Almost max, because I don't want some of the more PC destroying things going on. I forgot to mention, I think Ultra Textures is the HD texture pack. So if you don't download the HD texture pack, you won't have the Ultra Shadow option. So keep that in mind. Okay, we are now back into the game with the 580, and as you can see, with Ultra settings, we are basically over 30 frames per second. Let's wreak some havoc, so we can test it to see if we are over 30. But yeah, the game looks very good. Very sharp shadows. Still, there's some softness to it. But yeah, the game looks good. Probably more vegetated areas is going to be much worse. So yeah, let's get the police chasing us. So at least there's something going on. Alright, here there's more vegetation, awesome. I can stress test it more. But yeah, we're not using temporal filtering, keep that in mind. This is 1080p native resolution. So there's no upscaling going on, at least not yet. So maybe after we do that, on max settings we might be able to get 60s, who knows. Oh yeah, at the moment there's no checkerboarding going on. We're just playing with native resolution. But yeah, you have 23 degrees on idle. How? I have 50 degrees. Well, let me tell you why. This is a triple fan 580 and it's an open test bench. So that's as good as it gets. So yeah, that is why. And it's not summer yet. So all those things make a difference. That's why. That's why I don't show temperatures anymore. People don't understand that this is a special occasion, because I'm using an open test bench and multiple fans. Alright, now we're in a place with a lot of more vegetation, and as you can see we drop into the 30s. So yeah, makes complete sense. But yeah, if you want 30 frames per second, just use ultra settings. ultra settings without the NVIDIA features and without extended draw distance. So let's now try enabling temporal filtering, which should give us a good performance uplift, which means we are using temporal filtering, which means that we are using a lower resolution with checkerboard rendering technique. So we are getting a lower resolution, but there's some trickery going on there. So we can get better frames. Okay, we jumped from the 30s to the 40s, so a 10 frames per second improvement, 10 to 20. Not bad. Yeah, instead of dropping into the 30s, we drop into the 40s, so fair enough. So if you don't want 60 frames per second and want the best shadows, the best ambient occlusion, the best draw distance within reason, then you can use temporal filtering and get drops into the 40s with foliage and fighting going on instead of drops into the 30s. But yeah, I think this still will benefit from lowering a few things. I think this is needlessly demanding considering the visual difference. So let's do some extra tweaking. Let's do this right. So yeah. Do you like the Yakuza series? Yeah, I love the Yakuza series. I started on Yakuza 0 and I played until the 4th one, I think. So yeah, a lot of hours into that one. So we have a more powerful GPU, but the CPU is still the same. So geometry, keep it on high or medium. In this case, I'll keep it on high. Then terrain, high should be fine. Vegetation on high as well. So the GPU doesn't get that pushed around when there's a lot of vegetation. Texture resolution, we get an ultra because we have an 8GB GPU. So the 580 here is the 8GB version. And I'm using the Ultra HD texture pack or something like that. So that's why I have the ultra option. If you have 4 gigs, use high. Keep that in mind. Texture filtering maxed out, doesn't make a performance difference. Shadows, let's lower this to high. They look good enough. Headlight shadows, these are, I already explained this, but keep it on 2 cards, so there are some extra shadows at night. Water on high should be fine. Reflections on high should be okay because it has reflections on cars, buildings, all that good stuff. So high should give you the best visuals without a huge performance difference. Screen space reflections, this is one of the demanding ones. I'll keep it on very high. We have a 580, not a 570. So it should be okay. Dynamic particles, it's the leaves that are flying around and the bullet hit effects. Let's keep it on. San Francisco fog is super demanding when it shows up. It's the volumetric fog on the Ubisoft games, so pretty taxing. Just turn it off, not a huge difference visually. Then the fulfilled, in this case, I don't care about it. Looks fair enough. No motion blur because I don't like it in this game, and HBAO Plus for the more accurate ambient occlusion because we have enough GPU power to do so, and temporal filtering to get a performance boost. So let's try it first without temporal filtering to see the numbers. But yeah, I'm using basically a mix between high and very high and HBAO Plus. So let's give that a try. This is high, high, very high-ish. What a name. So let's try it like this on 1080p. And on 1080p with these settings we're getting, okay, 50s. So I did very few tweaks. Still dropping into the 40s when shot by the police. So yeah, maybe I have to lower it a little bit more. So basically the 570 settings should apply. A mix between high and medium. But yeah, remember that this is without temporal filtering. This is the what's the name of this? This is native resolution. So yeah, let's try with temporal filtering. So we go down here. Temporal filtering again is like a checkerboard rendering type of deal. Looks good and lets you get what's the name of this? Higher FPS, temporal filtering. Oh man, my English broke there for a second. So we're using these settings, and now we're getting over 70 frames. So I mean, the difference is too big to ignore, in my opinion. You should not disable temporal filtering. The performance difference is just too big, and the game still looks fine. So yeah, I think these are the best settings for the 580. A mix of high and very high, temporal filtering, and HBAO plus. And that should give you 60 frames even fighting with the police, and close to some foliage and stuff. Okay, let's go directly into the foliage, like the mad people we are. Hola Thor, ¿cómo estás? Hope they fix the optimization in Watch Dogs Legion. Well, hopefully yeah. But considering all the ray tracing features, it's probably going to be super demanding. Hopefully I'm wrong and they are doing a better job this time around. But yeah. I mean, it's also getting DLSS, Watch Dogs Legion, as far as I know. So, if we get a budget GPU with DLSS, we might be able to play it just fine. Who knows? But at the moment, again, this game is free on the Epic Games Store. So follow the link in the description to get this game for free. Vas a probar la 1050 Ti. Ya la probé esta... Ah, voy a dejar un link en la descripción para la 1050 Ti. I'm going to share the 1050 Ti video soon. I already made... Oh well, I'll let the dogs kill me in the meantime. I'll update the description with the Watch Dogs 2 videos I already made. Come on, doggies. Do your job. Come on. Come on, dogs. Kill me. Okay, Watch Dogs 2. I have it. Oh yeah, it was free in July. Interesting. Okay, I'll put the links to benchmarks I already made on this game. Give me 1 second, guys. So now just refresh the webpage. I put the... yeah, this game is so easy now. I mean, they're not even killing me. I've been standing here doing nothing and I'm still alive for some reason. So guys, refresh the webpage. I already put the links for the benchmarks I already made on this game. Probably can paste it here as well. Not too long. Okay. Yeah, Stormtrooper aim, as you can see. This is hilarious. Yeah, I'll drop my weapon once I can die. Yeah, they're not... Okay, finally. They finally killed me. I think this is a person playing. But yeah, just refresh the page. You can find the 1050 Ti, the 1060, 950, 750 Ti. I also put a pinned comment on the live stream, so you can follow the benchmarks I already made. That's why I'm not doing 1050 Ti live. But yeah, basically, those are the... Let me show you the best settings for the 580 once more. In the meantime, so 1080p. High geometry, high terrain, high vegetation, ultra textures, ultra texture filtering, high shadows, 2 cars headlight shadows, water on high, reflections on high, screen space reflections on very high, dynamic particles, no San Francisco fog, thank you very much. Depth of field, motion blur, this is optional, ambient occlusion, HBAO plus, temporal filtering on, and SMAA. Temporal filtering, please. I know it's a lower resolution, it's a checkerboard rendering type of deal. It makes the game run so much better. I mean, this is the difference between 70 frames and 50, so think about it. If you like how it looks, just keep it. It's better than lowering the resolution, at least in my opinion. But yeah, the 570 you can rewind. So the best settings for the 570 were a mix between medium and high, with temporal filtering enabled. So rewind the live stream and you'll find it. But yeah, overall it runs very similar to the 570. We can crank up a couple extra settings to get a better visual experience, but the difference visually is not huge. Yeah, we get better shadows, we get better ambient occlusion, but overall better geometry. But overall, I mean, it's the same game and you're still paying $0 to play it, so that's my takeaway from this. Just get the game for free and enjoy it. You just paid for the hardware, you don't have to pay for the software this time around. So San Francisco fog, yeah, it looks very cool, but it's super demanding and it's not showing up very often. So personally, I don't think it's worth enabling, unless you're not aiming for 60 frames. In that case, whatever. It looks very cool, but that's about it. It's not something that is present the entire time. I'll do a melee takedown. I haven't done one of those in a while in this game. But yeah, guys, let me know in the chat, what do you think about me doing this with popular free games? Do you like me testing the game live, or do you prefer me making 5 videos just talking about the game itself? 5 videos talking about the performance only. Do you prefer this approach, or do you prefer me, again, doing the usual thing, doing 6 videos, then doing an options menu analysis? Well, that's the hacker vision. I'm not sure why the game stutters each time I change from hacker vision on and off. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, guys, what do you prefer? Do you prefer this approach on free games, or do you prefer on popular free games? Or do you prefer my usual method? 5 videos, either live, you love it, it's a great concept. Okay, I prefer 5 different videos and then separately analysis. Okay, other people say live. If you add the timestamps, sorry about that. If you add the timestamps during the live stream, okay, yeah, I always put timestamps on live streams because I know it's a waste of time trying to find the graphics card that you want to see. So yeah, if you're worried about timestamps, there will be timestamps for everything, telling you when I'm talking about options menu, when I talk about the 580, the 570. I always put timestamps on live streams. So if you care about that, you now know it. I always put timestamps. I don't like to waste people's times trying to search for the content that they want. So yeah, 5 videos, live streams are better. Play online, yeah, there's some online play, but I don't really like it in this one. If you had timestamps, you're okay with live stream, awesome, perfect. Warzone, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a really demanding game. Yeah, well, different types of games. Give me 1 second, guys, I'm going to drink some water. Be right back. Okay, nice. Much better. So yeah, interesting to see. With timestamps is okay. Okay, wonderful. So yeah, this was the 580, guys. I'm going to swap now to the 1650 Super. So let's turn off the PC and give it another try. So shutting down, swapping to the 1650 Super. So let's remove this and put GTX 1650 Super. Alright, 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's free forever if you claim it before next week, so make sure to grab it quickly. But yeah, guys, in the meantime, make sure to follow the link in the description to get the game for free. It's completely free on the Epic Games Store. And once you claim it for free and you can download it, right away you're going to keep it forever to download and play as many times as you want. So basically a permanent copy of Watch Dogs 2. So yeah, please do yourself a favor, get a free game and enjoy it. Be happy that you don't have to pay for the game because that's usually the issue. You spend a lot of money on a PC and then you have to pay for the games. Well, there are a lot of free games nowadays, so it's wonderful to be able to to be in this position now. Alright. Okay, let me see if the drivers are installed. Apparently they are, but let's do a double check. Yep, they're installed. Awesome. So let's keep the 1650 Super. And let's launch the game. Very excited for Crysis Remastered. As you can see, it's coming tomorrow on PC. So I will be doing a live stream tomorrow to, what's the name of this? To see how Crysis Remastered runs. Then I'll be doing the usual videos, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be live streaming it. And then, again, the usual videos. Estoy emocionado para la actualización del Left 4 Dead 2. Sí, yo también. Tengo unas ganas de jugarlo de vuelta. Tremendo juego. You're getting the 1650 Super. Awesome. Awesome. Ugh. Is it possible to change boot resolution of motherboard? I didn't see a way to do it manually. Usually when I connected with DisplayPort on the graphics card, it was on full resolution, but in general it's on 1024 by 768. I mean, it's just the BIOS, who cares about the resolution there? Some BIOSes should be able to allow you to do that, but in this case, I have no clue. Using DisplayPort in general gives me HD BIOSes, but yeah. So, okay, let's now try the same settings as the... Now, let's try with the highest settings first, but we're going to lower the textures to high, so, because we only have 4 gigs of VRAM. So we're going to put ultra settings, no motion blur, HBAO+, no San Francisco fog, and what else? I'm missing something. No, I'm not. Okay. So let's do that. Since the game didn't load, the texture quality change doesn't require me to restart the game, so keep that in mind. And usually Ubisoft games run better on NVIDIA cards, so I expect this game to run better on the 1650 Super in comparison to the 580. So yeah, stay tuned. No cambies los drivers, ya están instalados los drivers correctos, así que no pasa nada. Yo siempre los borro y los vuelvo a instalar, así que está todo bonito, como dirían los brasileños. Sí, tengo los dos instalados. Nunca hacen conflicto, pero si hacen conflicto nos damos cuenta enseguida. Much love. Well, much love to you too. I feel like you should pay more attention to thumbnails, like add the name the GPU tested and the resolution. Yeah, I usually just put the name of the graphics card in my thumbnails, because if I put the resolution, there's just too much information in a very tiny thumbnail. But yeah, I've been experimenting with thumbnails lately. I think I'll be doing that. In a way, I'll try to find a way to put the resolution as well. But in general, I'll try to just put the graphics card and the game. Okay, so this is the 1650 Super. Let me change that, I forgot. On almost max. So, if I remember correctly, the 580, when I was being chased by the police, using these settings, very close to the vegetations and things, I was getting like, what was it? I was getting dropped into the 30s. So it will be interesting to see. Alright. So the police is about to chase me. Come on. Yeah, madman, please, police, chase me so I can do the benchmark. Alright. It drops into the 30s as well, so very similar to the 580 so far. I have to say, although the 580 was into the 40s more often, even in these vegetated places. Oh yeah. Okay, getting shot from everywhere. But yeah, so far it seems to be similar to the 580, a little below in vegetated areas. So yeah. Also we have lower quality textures, so that's something to keep in mind. Boom! Straight into the police.
Dispatch to squad. Be on alert. Possible hostiles near your location.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Let's now do the usual combination. let's first take cover. Let's be smart about it. So yeah, let's take cover here. So okay, here we're getting 30 frames, so that's worse than the 580. And we're going to enable the temporal filtering. So let's go for that, which is the upscaling technique. We're using a lower resolution with checkerboard rendering, something around those lines. So we put temporal filtering. So yeah, temporal filtering, almost max settings. Let's go back. So we were getting 31 frames here. Now we jump from 31 to 37, so not a huge difference. But I'm sure once I get into other places, yeah, I get into the 50s instead of the 40s, so the usual 7 to 15 FPS improvement. Although on the 580 I think that the temporal filtering boost was significantly bigger, so yeah, we're still dropping into the 30s here. So yeah, I think AMD was more better in this case, especially using temporal filtering. But I'm not sure if this is more demanding than what I played on the 580, so hard to tell. So far it seems that the 580 is a better experience so far. So yeah, in this game in particular I would recommend the 580 for the high quality textures and the higher frame rate overall using the same settings. So yeah, let's take cover very quickly. No, we're not taking cover. Nice, you added on the Epic Games Store. Awesome. Enjoy it. Fantastic game. I mean, for $0, you cannot complain. Alright, so, whoa, we're back here. So let's now try the settings I use on the 580, but on the 1650 Super, and without the temporal filtering. So we're going to lower this to here. Awesome. And we're going to do some tweaking. So geometry, let's keep it on high, like on the 580. Terrain, high as well. Vegetation on high, because those places are super demanded on the GPU. What do you mean free right now? Follow the link in the description and you'll find the link to get this game for free on the Epic Games Store. Texture resolution on high, because we have only 4 gigs of VRAM. Texture filtering on ultra. Shadows on very high or high. Very high or high. Let's keep them on high at the moment. 2 cars on headlight shadows. Water on high. Reflections as well. Screen space reflections, let's put them on very high, like on the 580. And the rest is like it is. HBAO plus. And let's see what frame rates we get here. Okay, we jump from the 30s to the 50s, so a significantly different experience. Using ultra settings, we were into the 30s, now we're into the 50s. So apparently AMD was better on the ultra settings side of things, and Nvidia is better on the medium to high, on the high settings side of things. So there's probably something going on with the Nvidia drivers, that the larger draw distance kills the performance more, or something, I don't know. I mean, it was a bigger jump than on the 580. The 580 went from the 40s to the 50s, this went from the 30s to the 50s, so... okay, let's make the police chase us once more, because we need some gunfights. But yeah, let's find out once the police arrives. If this is enough without the checkerboard rendering type of thing. What are your specs on your personal computer? My personal computer specs are Ryzen 5 3600, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, and 1650 Super or 580. Depending on what I'm doing, I swap between them, basically. If you want to see how the 570 and the 580 run this game, rewind the live stream. I tested those already, and it was very similar to what you're seeing right now. So yeah. Okay, nobody's calling the police, and for some reason that bike has no people in it. Okay, the police is coming. Come on, police. The police are searching the area. Well, they're doing a terrible job at it. Come on. Come on, police, I'm this side. You buying a 30 series GPU? No, at the moment, no. I'm waiting for the 3060 and 3050. If those exist. Alright, about to get a fight. One thing that I forgot to mention, on the 580 and 570 I jumped from 6 GB of system RAM usage to 8 GB. On this one I'm getting 7 GB. It didn't go that far up like on the AMD cards, so it seems to be using less system RAM on the NVIDIA card. But other than that, it's basically almost the same experience. Yeah, we're getting to the 40s like the 580. The 580 was a few frames ahead. So, gotcha. Don't kill me yet. I need to enable temporal filtering. Oh no, not the dog. Not the dog. Okay, the dog got me. Sí, la 960 requiere mucho más polenta. Pero sí, la 960 yo usaría medio en 900p con temporal filtering. Okay, we're back in the same spot, luckily. So let's get the police chasing us once more, so we can try the temporal filtering. Come on. Finally, somebody calls the police. Finally.
911, what's your emergency? Can you hear it?
But yes, you can see when nothing is happening, we're between 50 and 60, but when S hits the F, we get into the 40s. So the temporal filtering should help us achieving that. So let's take cover, we're getting high 40s. So now we're going to the video options, and we enable the temporal filtering thing. This wasn't almost max, this is a mix between high and very high. So let's call it what it is, high, very high-ish, plus temporal filtering. So we enable temporal filtering, we were in 48 frames per second. Now with temporal filtering on, we're getting, instead of 48, we're getting 66, okay. And I died instantly. So yeah, we got a huge boost in performance, as expected, like 20 extra frames. So again, as I repeated multiple times, do not skip temporal filtering. It looks decent enough. You get a huge performance uplift. I mean, there's no reason not to enable it unless you don't like how it looks, which is debatable. So yeah. Police, where are you? Where are you, police? So yeah, I mean, temporal filtering all the way. This is why I want DLSS on budget GPUs. I mean, we could do this on much more demanding games, but using the smarter DLSS solution. Okay. I'm playing online. No, I don't want the online session. Thank you very much. I prefer to fight with the police. Come on. Come on, police. What do you think is the best upgrade from the RX 580? At the moment, I think there's no good upgrade. I would say a 3060 once it releases, or a 5700 XT. But again, there are new GPUs coming very soon, so I'll wait for something in the same price range that you got the 580, something on the $200 range. If you can pay for something faster, well, maybe a 3070, 3060. But yeah, at the moment I cannot recommend anything to upgrade a 580. I mean, the price doesn't justify it, in my opinion. Okay, the police is not in town today, apparently. So nobody cares that I'm destroying all these cars. Let me see if I can do something. different. No, this is not what I wanted to do. Now I feel like I'm playing Ghost Recon, Breakpoint and Wildlands. Okay, H. Okay, finally. Police. Se ha tratado de comprar una 2060 ahora. Si la conseguís barata, sí. Si podés esperar, espera. Porque van a bajar los precios. Y las van a vender usadas las personas que no las quieren. Alright, so in this... Okay. Now we're fighting and we're getting that smoke on screen. I can see the difference. We're in the low 60s. So yeah, let's now go back into a car and get away from here. Let's try a more realistic now. Now that we got the stress test, let's see what driving around the city is like. I'm expecting the 70s range, the frame rate. Oh, we're about to see. Perfect landing. So yeah. Let's see. Alright, perfect. So as you can see, once we are not in a map in place, which is most of the gameplay when a normal person is not testing the game, it's not bad. It drops into the 60s with smoke on screen. But overall, into the low 70s, mid to low 70s. And when stuff hits the fan, do not say the S word. 1 second. When that happens, you're going to be into the low 60s. So you're still getting a very smooth game. And very good visuals. Looks better than the console versions. I can tell you that for a fact. I had the PS4 version. This is way smoother and looks better, so what else do you want? Okay, so yeah, that was on the 1650 Super. Wonderful. Okay, the dog can... Okay, the dog always kills me, it's perfect. So yeah, let me show you now... Yeah, perfect landing. So yeah, let me show you now the settings, which are, in my opinion, the best settings for the 1650 Super. They are very similar to the settings of the best settings for the 580, but the 580 is getting a few extra frames, so let me show you. It's 1080p, again. And on the quality options, we're keeping geometry on high. If you have a slower CPU than a Ryzen 5 3600, maybe a quad core, consider medium or low. Then terrain on high, vegetation on high, textures on high, because we only have 4 gigs of VRAM. If you have more than that, put it on ultra. Texture filtering on ultra, so you get the anisotropic filtering on the best quality you can. Shadows on high, because they are quite taxing. Headlight shadows on 2 cars, so there are some extra shadows at night. Water on high, reflections on high, screen space reflections on very high. Dynamic particles on. No San Francisco fog, because it destroys performance. Looks great, don't get me wrong, but the performance hit is huge. And we also get ambient occlusion on HBAO+, and the temporal filtering, which is more than a 10 frames per second advantage, and the visuals are still great, so I'll keep it on. Just try it out. So yeah, I already tested now the 1650 Super, the 570 and the 580. The other card I have available to test right now that I didn't test is the 1650 non-Super, which what I like about this graphics card is no 6-pin connector anywhere. So this will be good for an office PC or something like that. This is the most powerful card that doesn't have a 6-pin connector at the moment. So this is the normal 1650, not the Super edition. The Super cards on the 1650 have a 6-pin connector. So do you want me to try this out right now? So do you do you want me to put it into the PC now? I'll try the same settings, don't worry. I'll try the exact same settings to see the performance difference. But yeah, we don't need that, okay. Ryzen 5 3500, 2060 will lag streaming. It should be fine. Use the NVIDIA encoder on OBS and the stream should be okay. But yeah, cool, yes, live gamers, no it won't, yes, why not? Okay, Fair enough. Let's do that then. It's a very bad card price performance. Yeah, it's a bad card price performance, but if you have a PC that cannot get a PSU upgrade, I think it's a good deal, considering the performance that you can get for if you don't want to upgrade your power supply. But yeah, value-wise, FPS value not good. It's for people that are stuck with an old office computer that cannot upgrade the power supply. Some PCs have that issue. So yeah, let's give it a try. 1 second, guys. So here's the 1650 Super. Let's put the 1650 non-Super into the PC. Alright, the 1650 non-Super. Let's call it 1650 4 gigabytes, so it's clear that it's not a 1650 Super. So we're going to try the exact same settings to see. Of course, we're not going to get 60s in that one. We're probably getting 40s. So wait a second that the driver is going to be installed. I'm going to turn off the capture card in the meantime. Do you think the i5-8600K is a bottleneck for the 3060 or 5700 XT? We don't know much about the 3060, but if the performance is at level, I mean, it should be okay, the 8600K at the moment. But I will go for the Ryzen route, now that the consoles, even the consoles have a lot of threads. It will be nice. So yeah, okay. So 1650 non-Super. This is a card that does not require a 6-pin connection. So this is for the type of people that cannot upgrade for some reason their power supply because they're using a pre-build or something like that. So yeah, I mean, people that know what they're doing in general, I mean building a PC, will get a 1650 Super instead. It's almost the same price, but it has a 6-pin connection there. So yeah, this is for the people that are stuck in a PC that only has a PCI Express connection to the slot, doesn't have the power cable from the power supply. So yeah, let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. Me puedo responder en inglés si quieres. Minas del i3 9100F. What's my opinion on the i3 9100F? I think if you get it for cheap, it's a great quad-core CPU. Nowadays, though, games are using much more than 4 cores sometimes. I mean, I think the sweet spot now should be 4 cores 8 threads or 6 cores 6 threads. But I think that if you can get it for cheap, it's not a bad CPU. It can run games just fine, at least right now. But very modern ones won't hit 60 frames, so if you're not aiming for 60, go for it. But we don't know for how long it's going to be. That's going to be the thing. So let's see. Okay, 1650 non-Super, 1080p, and we're using the same settings as I used before on the 1650 Super. These are the 60 frames settings for the 1650 Super. This is probably going to be into the 40s on this one, but we're about to find out. How much FPS on the 1063 gigabytes? I'll lower textures to medium or low, and I'll spec similar numbers to the 570. So consider using high settings with temporal filtering, and that should give you 60 frames if your CPU is good enough. But yeah, it should be okay. Sí, soy uruguayo. De nada, Sebs. I've been watching your videos for years. Well, thank you, Mr. Robot. Nice to have faithful people to my channel. The Santiago Creed Brotherhood. The Brotherhood of budget GPUs. Do you think I should upgrade my i5-8500 or i5 or Ryzen 5? i5-8500, I don't know about that one. I never heard about it. Is that a typo? Alright, so we're now into the game again. We're into the 70s. But again, remember, this is the city where nothing is happening. So let's go. Let me see where here, Hook Motion Pictures. This is where I tested all the other graphics cards with the police chasing me. So yeah, let's give that a try. It's probably going to drop into the 40s. That's my expectation. But if it doesn't, I'll be very surprised. Because this is a card that doesn't require a 6-pin connection. Okay, gotcha. Okay, police is chasing me now. We're about to find out the performance. Let's destroy this gate. Okay, fail. Let's go up here and we take cover. Illegal use of firearms, no way. Alright, we're dropping into the 60s. Okay, I'm pretty surprised. I was expecting worse numbers than this. What's going on? Why is it running almost the same as the 1650 Super? Well, almost the same. The 1650 Super was like 5 frames ahead, but... what the heck? I don't get this. Hey, I'm not complaining. Still great numbers. But... I could probably crank up the settings a little bit more on the 1650 Super though. I mean, seeing these numbers is pretty clear. Change your CAN position? My CAN position. Sorry. This is what I tried to enable. My bad. I forgot to put the numbers. But yeah. I mean, it's running better than I expected on this card. Which is kind of strange. Considering the 1650 Super should be noticeably faster. This one is only 5 to 8 frames behind. Let's go to exact same spot as before. Maybe that's why I'm seeing different numbers. Probably why. So let's go back there. What's my favorite game? Oh, there are many. many. I don't have a favorite. I usually enjoy the Splinter Cell games. Those are some that I replay every once in a while. Okay, now we're in the same spot as before, so this should make us drop the frame rate, finally. Is it the same spot? It looks so similar. Yeah, I think it was right here. Yeah, right here. So this is the same spot as before, I think, or very close to that spot. Here we're probably going to drop into the 40s or 50s. Come on, frame rate. Okay, now drop into the 50s, now it makes more sense. It's like 5 to 10 frames behind the 1650 Super. So I'll probably do a couple of tweaks to do similar numbers to the 570. But yeah. I mean, still, fair enough, this is a stress test type of deal. I mean, to make stress test, dropping into the 50s, upper 40s is not that bad. Because most of the game doesn't take place in this particular area. So, yeah, pretty impressed. Considering it's the most basic graphics card I tested today, I'm pretty surprised. Interesting. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get 60s on Watch Dogs 2 now, which wasn't very difficult when the game was just released. It just goes to show how much it can advance in a few years. I mean the PC hardware. Okay, dead. Well, thanks, Mr. Cesar. I appreciate that. That's what I'm trying to do. Where it's free, it's on the Epic Games Store. Follow the link in the description, and you will get the game for free. But yeah, I mean, even if you have a 1650 non-super, you can very easily get 60s on 50 to 60 using a mix between high and very high. So, not bad. Probably without the HBAO Plus. Yeah, a little bit better. So yeah, maybe the best settings... Okay, these are my best settings for the 1650 non-super. I'll lower the geometry to medium. Then the shadows, I'll keep it on high. 2 cars. Screen space reflections from very high to high. We are lowering ambient occlusion from HBAO Plus to SSVC. sorry. and we keep temporal filtering basically. So that should be the 60 frames ideal settings for this card. Yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, once S hits the F, it's going to get worse, so let's try just that. Boom. Now let's call the police. Of course, remember, this happens on places with tons of foliage, like you see here, a lot of grass, trees in the distance.
911.
It's daytime, so those produce shadows. And that mixed with effects like this smoke over here, plus the police attacking me,
What's your emergency?
so AI, will make us drop below 60, but it should be fine. I mean, this should be the worst case scenario type of thing. If you're into the city and not many trees are happening, or grass, it will be faster than this. It will be 60 in the bad parts. So I think this is a good way to recommend settings. Go to the place where the game suffers, and there you can see which are the worst numbers that you can get, and use that as a reference. Don't use the best numbers as a reference. I prefer to use the worst ones. And as you can see now, we're already dropping into the mid-50s. Now with the police chasing us, let's recover behind here. But I mean, completely playable. I used to play games at 26 FPS when I didn't have a good enough PC. This is fine. Without an FPS counter, I mean, try to tell the difference now. Without an FPS counter, it's hard for me to notice between 55 and 60. Some people can. I'm one of those people that cannot tell the difference without an FPS counter. So being honest, I mean, if it doesn't drop below 50, it's usually okay. So yeah, I'll now play a few more minutes and go into the city now. Doing like the best case scenario. Thanks for the bike. So let's mark the city. And as you can see, the map is not that big. I mean, it's bigger than it seems. But I mean, you're mostly into the city. Then when you go to the more rural areas, they're not that numerous. There's more city than green spaces in general. I played a lot of hours of this game when it first came out. You're not a lot of time into these areas. You're mostly into the more urban environments. Okay, that was a fail. But perfectly into one of the faster cars, so let's grab that one. Yeah, the Watch Dogs series has always run bad, yeah. But considering that it runs bad, on budget GPUs you can run this game on pretty decent settings, I have to say. I mean, yeah, it's not the best looking game out there, but considering the hardware I'm using, I think it's okay. At least at this point in time. If you have a 570, you can do this as well. And a 570 is not an expensive GPU. It's less than 200, so people can find it under 100 on the used market. So I mean, if you have something like a 1050 Ti or slower, well, in that case it's hard to get 60s, but you can get 30s. So yeah, in that case the game will be unoptimized. But considering that people call it unoptimized, I think at least right now with the modern hardware, it's not that bad. Although on the CPU, it's not that great. On the CPU side, it's terrible. I mean, with a quad-core CPU, 60 frames consistently is very hard. So yeah, on the CPU side I have to agree, it's completely unoptimized. ¿El juego está gratis? Sí, por supuesto. Para eso es el video. Te puedes fijar en la descripción. Está el link para agarrarlo gratis el juego. Está gratis en la Epic Games Store. Requiere una cuenta de Uplay también, pero el juego está completamente gratis. Lo puedes descargar y jugarlo para siempre, las veces que quieras. What did I do? Wrong button. But yeah, I mean, the game is completely free right now. Follow the link in the description to claim it. You have a week to claim it and you keep it forever. You can download and play it as many times as you want. But yeah, I think that for today, this is what I wanted to show you. I'll be putting the timestamps in the description once this live stream is done, so you can skip to whatever part that you want. Very easy to be guided in that place, so you can watch the graphics card that you want. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is get this game for free. Just grab it, enjoy it. If you don't have a PC, grab it, enjoy it when you get a PC. So yeah, do recommend a 5700 XT in 2020. I'll wait for the new GPUs right now. I'll wait for the new GPUs. The performance difference should be significant, so wait for the new GPUs. My opinion, we are very close to that point, so I would just wait for the consoles to release, so the PC market responds. Tienes un Ryzen 3400G para jugar juegos, puedes jugar a 720p 60 y los juegos que son menos demandantes, sí. La mayoría de los juegos pesados no, ni en pedo. ¿Cómo aprender inglés también? Bueno, gracias primero. Practiqué mucho. Y exámenes internacionales y después practicar. Tenés que vivir en inglés. How is going to GTX 1050 Ti? Follow the link in the description. There's a test on the 1050 Ti. You can find it there. But yeah. You just picked the language of God for a second there. Well, sometimes. But yeah, I'm from Uruguay. Okay guys, gotta go now. Thank you so much for watching this live stream and joining me. It's been a pleasure, and it's been an hour and a half, so yeah, I have to finish it right now. Just go grab this game for free. Fantastic game, considering $0. You only paid for the hardware. You get to keep it forever, so you can add it to your library and play it later, whatever. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Michael Sinclair, la opción de distancia de visión, la opción de geometría, esa es la que afecta más CPU. Ponerla en bajo si tenés un CPU lento. Ok guys, bye, see you next time. Chao, nos vemos. Link in the description for free game. Bye bye.